Welcome. Today I'm going to talk about my top 10 underappreciated fish. I own a fish store, I've sold lots of fish, and the ones that have been the real gems and the winners long term, both for my customers and me, and some of them I didn't even fall in love with until they didn't sell at the store, and then I was like, this fish is amazing, why don't people keep this? Then I sang its praises, and now I'm going to tell you all about them in this top 10 list. First up, we've got the longfin rosy barb. Now, barbs are scary, I get it. This guy is more laid back. He's not completely peaceful, but he's pretty laid back. Those long fins slow him down, and the males look amazing. They get 4 inches, and the finnage on them is mind-blowing. I fell in love with them the first time in a display tank. They had it in a big cube tank that was 400 gallons, and I had to ask them, what is that fish? Longfin rosy barbs. It was something like I had never seen before. So good looking. The females are more of a silver color, so you get the 2-color dynamic there. And the reason they actually had them in this 400-gallon cube was they will pick at algae, string algae and things like that, which is amazing. And also, this tank wasn't heated. They don't have to be heated either. You can pick them up anywhere from $4 to $6 typically in there. I mean, I've seen some really nice specimens at 10. But they can be hard to find. They're not readily mass produced. I mean, they are, but not to the level like a neon tetra or something like that. So most often when I go to order them, it's actually kind of hard to find them. They're definitely going to be one of the new additions to my fish room, and it's the first time I'll be keeping them in my own setup instead of just having them in displays at the shop or for sale. Number 2. The Odessa barb. Another barb. Crazy, I know. It's the only barbs I've got on here, but these guys look amazing, especially if you're going to get them from a breeder like Greg Sage, or, now the quality's come up quite a bit, but that red is really good. And so they're in a group, get them in a group, right? They're going to be on that $4 to $5 range. They're laid back too. I wouldn't say they're 100% peaceful, but they're pretty close to that. Easy to feed, don't get sick a lot. These guys do like to be a little warmer, so I do recommend keeping in a heated tank. They're going to look awesome with a plant background. I mean, you should be able to see that just by looking at how cool they look right now. But they could go along with those rosy barbs and some other fast-moving fish and tetras and all of that kind of stuff. And they just look unique compared to a lot of the other fish. Next up is the Bolivian ram, kind of the red-headed stepchild of the ram family. Everyone wants, I want an angel ram, I want an electric blue ram, I want gold, I want a midnight ram. These guys are old school. They come out of the wild like this, and they're super duper hardy. So even though they're captive raised, they've got little bits of color on their fins, and the fins will actually get streamers on them, and they're really easy. That's the thing, is all the other rams are finicky. These guys aren't finicky at all. They just go, hey, you're putting food in? I like you. I'll come out, I'll eat, I'll swim around the tank, I'll look good. I only cost $5 or $6. Amazing, right? All those things can be really good. And I think they're underappreciated for that reason of like, well, they're not a German blue ram. Yeah, but they're cheaper, right? And they're hardier, and they're not as territorial, and they shake off disease, and they don't have to be as hot. Like, there's a lot of good things going for them. And I really think, people should try them more. The people that do try them from our store, they actually go, I love this fish. I don't know why more people don't keep it. And what you're seeing in the store is going to be a juvenile. And so when you see the adult specimens, they really do look good. Next up, I have Colombian blue tetras. Now, these guys have really good color on them, right? They get about that big around. They're a little boisterous though, but they would play really well with any of the barbs I've mentioned. They would play well with the Bolivian rams, any of those medium type fish. You're going to have like skirt tetras and Congo tetras, I'll talk about later, things like that. So these guys are a schooling fish. They're going to get about that big. You can go serpe tetras, all that kind of stuff. They're going to dart around, but the color is so intense. Normally you got to buy a rainbow fish for something like that, and these guys are $3 or $4. That's a steal. We used to sell them a lot, and I think it's because I'm not in the store anymore. We don't sell them as much, but people that have kind of that 55-gallon and larger, these is a great fish to really get schooling back and forth, offset the color. You know, instead of buying a billion neon tetras that are going to be this big, you buy Colombian blue tetras that are already this big when you buy them, and they're going to get to about that big, and they really fill in a school for you and take up some space and save you a bit of money, but also are just really hardy and have a long life. Next up, pearl gouramis. This is kind of your showpiece fish that is underrated in my opinion. I talk about them all the time. I really just like this fish. It's cheap, it's under $10. It gets big about that 6-inch mark. It's got, you know, different fins that hang down, so it's got that unique look. And I just think people pass it over going, oh, I've had a snakeskin gourami, I've had a moonlight gourami. A lot of gouramis are really aggressive. This one's more mild. And good news is it can live with all the things I mentioned so far. So, in fact, all of these fish can. If you're listening to this and you could just make, oh, I've got a 125, I'm going to have some of all of this, you could do it all. Next up is the black phantom tetra. Now these guys, they've got a nice big dorsal on the males. The females, not so much, right? But that black color does stand out really nice against plants and other fish. You know, if you got blue Colombian tetras or lemon tetras or whatever you're going to have, and the black phantoms, they're not going to mix. They usually just swim by each other. It looks really good. And black is a rarer color in fish. You know, you usually got to go black neon, black angelfish, black molly, but there's not too many that will actually still look good and move around a bunch. There's a lot of catfish that'll hide, but these guys, I just don't think get as much appreciation as they should. You can usually find them for about $4. Get yourself a school of them, both boys and girls, and they're really nice when that dorsal gets going. Number 7, leopard danios, especially the longfin ones. I feel like, oh, danios, yeah, I did some zebra danios once. But leopard danios are really good looking. They're cheap. They stay at the top of your aquarium. That's one of the harder fish to find. Like, who's going to hang out on top, right? They don't have to be heated. And in general, you get them for $2-3, depending if they're longfin or not. And you can get a good school of them, get 8, 10 of them, something like that. We sell a lot, and people that do get them are like, wow, this is actually a great fish. I've always not kept it in the past. I really just like that fish. Next up, I've got Congo tetras. Too often in the stores, you'll see them as babies, and they got no fins. They don't have the rainbow color. They're just like, ooh, who's buying that thing for $12? But once you see adults, you go, what fish is that? Oh, that's the Congo tetra. Well, at least if you're looking at a male. The females, they don't get the nice flowy fins. They don't get a bunch of color. It's kind of a drab silver fish. But if you have females, those boys get really colorful. And so I recommend keeping boys and girls, even though you're going $12 for a girl, doesn't even have color. The males will look that much better. They're really long-lived. They do get bigger. You know, they're a fish that's, you know, about that big with nice flowy fins on them. So you don't want to put them with tiny neon tetras or anything like that. But all the other fish that we've mentioned, they can be done with. Now, you might be going, well, what about those leopard danios? Leopard danios are wicked quick, and they're smart. So those and the barbs and the pearl gourami, they're all going to work together. Next up, we have the white cloud. Now, we've got a basic white cloud. We've got a gold white cloud. We've got a longfin white cloud, right? I really like gold white clouds, and they're amazing in your aquarium, right? They're going to look good against plants. They're also going to look wicked good in your little whiskey barrel pond, or maybe another pond you've got. They look really good when sunlight hits them if you're going to do any summer tubbing outside. They're relatively easy to breed. The normal ones look great too. In fact, you can mix them and have 2 different colors going. I really like that fish, and I've always kind of kept them in my vicinity, whether it's at the store, whether it's at home, whether it's in a pond outside, and they're cheap. I just don't think they get enough. You know, for a fish that costs like $2 or $3, they've got the looks of a $10 fish, which I know is saying a lot for a schooling, you know, shoaling fish, but they really look good. Last but not least, Crebensis cichlids. I love these guys. They're relatively laid back. They're easier to breed than Apistos or Rams. They're usually one of the first ones I recommend for people to breed because boys and girls are easy to sex. The females will have that nice pink belly. There's albino versions, which I currently have in my fish room, and I always kind of have some cribs around because they're fun to spawn, and you can, you know, trade them in for a few dollars of fish credit, you know, And you've always got the cloud of babies, and my wife likes to watch them, and guests like to see what's going on. They're easy to feed. You don't have to do any crazy, like, I gotta hatch out brine shrimp, I gotta do all this stuff. Just crush up some flake food or a little bit of pellet food, stuff like that. And you've got that unique pair that's kind of digging and doing stuff, maybe in a coconut hut, down in your 30-gallon or 50-gallon tank. And then you've got all these tetras and everything moving up above, and you've got like, oh, what are they doing today? So you've got that unique personality to add in the bottom. Maybe in the middle you got that pearl gourami, and then up top you got all kinds of schooling fish going through the middle and top. So those are my 10 underappreciated community fish. There are so many more. Like, nature is so amazing, and while there's lots of popular fish, if you get a chance, start keeping some of these not as popular fish to learn why they're even around. Basically, if a fish has ever made it from the wild to a pet store, there is something special about it that is fun to watch. If you haven't seen it yet, that means you just got to buy it and you got to wait. They're all amazing, and I really love fish, and I hope you do too.